Recently, we received an email expressing concern about the significant increase in tornadoes over the past month and questioning whether these events are a sign that God is behind them and if they signal the end times. To give you some context, the 2024 severe weather season has become the most intense in over a decade, with more than 1,000 tornado reports so far. As of Memorial Day, the total number of tornado reports has reached 1,008, surpassing any year-to-date total since 2011. For context, the historical average number of tornadoes by May 27th is 731. The most powerful tornado to strike the United States this year was a devastating twister, with winds reaching 185 miles per hour, which ravaged much of Greenfield, Iowa, on May 21, 2024. The 2024 season, despite its severity, remains behind the record-setting 2011 season, which recorded 1,287 tornadoes by early May. However, with the peak season still ongoing, there is potential for this year to set new records.
So from May 20th to 27th, the National Weather Service offices throughout the country issued more than 3,000 advisories, watches, and warnings, all due to severe weather. You can see them on your screen right now. Notice how most of the severe weather took place in the central and eastern half of the nation, just east of Tornado Alley, which stretches from Texas to Iowa. Now, the yellow polygons on your screen are severe thunderstorm warnings, with green as flash flood warnings, and the purple along the coastline, marine warnings, and the reds, tornado warnings. There have been over 1,000 reported tornadoes so far in 2024, with close to 500 in May alone. Now, according to the Storm Prediction Center, this bumps the year up to second place for most tornadoes through the month of May, dating back to 1950. First being in 2011 with over 1,200.
Why does God allow tornadoes, earthquakes, hurricanes, tsunamis, typhoons, cyclones, avalanches, wildfires, volcanic eruptions, and other natural disasters? Witnessing the devastation brought by these events is truly heartbreaking. The aftermath of a natural disaster is especially difficult to endure, as lives are disrupted and communities are torn apart. It simply is heartbreaking to witness. It is strange that God often gets blamed for these occurrences, frequently termed acts of God, while little to no credit is given for the decades, or even centuries, of peaceful weather. This pattern of behavior extends to our personal lives as well. When negative things happen, people tend to blame God and question, why is this happening to me? Or, why is God allowing this to happen to me? It's common to overlook the blessings and periods of tranquility in our lives, focusing instead on the hardships and challenges. To understand natural disasters from a biblical perspective, we have to first understand the nature of a fallen world. Romans chapter 8, verses 19 to 21. For the earnest expectation of the creature waiteth for the manifestation of the sons of God. For the creature was made subject to vanity, not willingly, but by reason of him who hath subjected the same in hope, because the creature itself also shall be delivered from the bondage of corruption into the glorious liberty of the children of God. These verses reveal the deep connection between humanity's fall and the current state of creation, offering hope for future restoration. To comprehend why natural disasters occur, we must first understand the nature of the world post-fall. When sin entered the world through Adam and Eve's disobedience, it didn't just bring about moral and spiritual decay, it introduced physical decay as well. The once perfect creation became tainted, and everything within it, from human beings to the very ground they walk on, was affected. This is why we see natural disasters today. They are manifestations of a world groaning under the weight of sin. The Apostle Paul describes creation as being in a state of vanity or futility. This means that the natural world is not fulfilling its intended purpose. Instead of being a perfect, harmonious environment, it now exhibits chaos and destruction. Natural disasters such as earthquakes, hurricanes, and floods are physical expressions of this futility. They are the earth's response to the curse brought about by human sin. The impact of the fall extends beyond natural disasters and human suffering. It also disrupted the animal kingdom. Before sin entered the world, there was harmony between humans and animals. In the pre-fall state, there was no death, violence, or fear. If the fall had never occurred, a person could walk with a lion with no fear. The harmony envisioned in Isaiah chapter 11 verses 6 to 9, where the wolf also shall dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the kid, and a little child shall lead them, reflects this ideal state of peace and coexistence.
The current reality of predatory behavior and the fear animals have of humans, and vice versa, are consequences of the fallen condition. Paul goes further to personify creation, describing it as eagerly awaiting the revealing of the sons of God. This metaphorical language illustrates that the natural world is not passive in its current state, it longs for redemption. Just as humans yearn for the fullness of their salvation, so does creation yearn for restoration. This restoration is tied to the redemption of humanity. When humanity fell, creation was subjected to the state of futility by God's decree, but it was not without hope. God's plan always included the redemption not only of humanity, but of the entire creation. The bondage of corruption that Paul speaks of will be broken, and creation itself will be set free from its suffering. The hope that Paul points to is the eventual restoration of all things. When the sons of God are revealed, when believers are fully redeemed and glorified, creation will also be restored. This future event is what creation eagerly waits for. In the new heaven and new earth promised in Revelation 21, there will be no more death, mourning, crying, or pain. The natural world will no longer be subject to the curse of sin. Natural disasters, while devastating, are a part of the fallen state of our world due to sin. They serve as reminders of the physical decay that sin has brought upon creation. Every tear, every heartbreak, every pain, every graveyard, every death, every tsunami, every earthquake can all be tracked back to sin. Every moment of sorrow we experience is a reminder of the brokenness introduced by sin. Every heartbreak we endure in relationships reflects the fractured nature of human connections since the fall. Every physical pain and ailment our bodies suffer point to the decay that sin has brought into the world. Every graveyard stands as a testament to the mortality that sin introduced. Every death, a stark reminder that the wages of sin is death, separating us from the life God intended for us. Every tsunami, with its overwhelming destruction, echoes the groaning of a creation subjected to futility. Every earthquake, shaking the very foundations of the earth, signals the disruption of the harmony that once existed in creation. Every natural disaster we witness is a manifestation of the world's fallen state, groaning in travail until the day of redemption. Sin is something that we often take too lightly. However, the ramifications of sin are so severe that God Himself had to come and deal with it. Neither a prophet, an angel, nor a mere man could address this issue. God Himself had to intervene, underscoring the gravity of sin. This alone should reveal to you the profound seriousness of sin.
The Bible proclaims that Jesus Christ holds all of nature together. Colossians chapter 1 verses 16 to 17 states, "For by Him were all things created, that are in heaven and that are in earth, visible and invisible. And He is before all things, and by Him all things consist." This profound truth emphasizes the sovereignty of Christ over the entire creation. Everything in the universe is sustained by His power and authority. This foundational belief sets the stage for understanding God's relationship to natural disasters and His control over the natural world. Given that Christ holds all of creation together, the question arises, could God prevent natural disasters? The answer is unequivocally yes. God, in His omnipotence, has the power to control and prevent any natural event. The Bible provides numerous examples of God's intervention in the natural world, affirming His ability to influence the weather and natural phenomena according to His will. Does God sometimes influence the weather? Yes, He does. One of the most striking examples of God's influence over the weather is found in the book of Joshua, where God miraculously stopped the sun during a battle to aid the Israelites. This extraordinary event is recorded in Joshua chapter 10, verses 12 to 14. "Then spake Joshua to the Lord in the day when the Lord delivered up the Amorites before the children of Israel, and he said in the sight of Israel, Sun, stand thou still upon Gibeon, and thou, moon, in the valley of Ajalon. And the sun stood still, and the moon stayed, until the people had avenged themselves upon their enemies. Is not this written in the book of Jasher? So the sun stood still in the midst of heaven, and hasted not to go down about a whole day. And there was no day like that before it or after it, that the Lord hearkened unto the voice of a man, for the Lord fought for Israel." In this passage, Joshua, leading the Israelites in battle against the Amorite kings, prayed for divine intervention. God responded by halting the movement of the sun and the moon, prolonging daylight to ensure Israel's victory. This miraculous event demonstrated God's supreme authority over nature and his willingness to intervene directly in human affairs to fulfill his purposes. By stopping the sun, God provided the Israelites with the extended daylight they needed to secure their victory, showcasing his power and faithfulness. Numbers chapter 16 verses 30 to 34 recounts a dramatic event where God caused the earth to open and swallow up Korah and his followers as a direct judgment for their rebellion against Moses. This incident is a clear example of God using a natural disaster to execute judgment. Similarly, the book of Revelation describes numerous catastrophic events that can be seen as natural disasters, all occurring under divine orchestration to fulfill God's purposes. Chapters 6, 8, and 16 describe events such as earthquakes, plagues, and cosmic disturbances, each serving a specific role in the unfolding of God's final judgment. However, it is crucial to understand that not every natural disaster is a punishment from God. While Scripture provides instances where God uses natural phenomena as a form of judgment, it also makes it clear that we live in a fallen world. The entrance of sin into the world through Adam and Eve's disobedience brought about a fundamental disruption of the natural order.
As Romans chapter 8 verse 22 explains,
"For we know that the whole creation groaneth and travaileth in pain together until now." This groaning is indicative of the corruption and decay that sin has wrought upon the world, resulting in a creation that is not as it was originally intended to be. Natural disasters, with their immense power and often devastating consequences, have a profound impact on human lives. They cause millions of people to reevaluate their priorities, forcing a confrontation with the fragility of life and the inevitability of death. Such catastrophic events shake our confidence in the stability and predictability of this life, compelling us to think about eternity and the larger questions of existence and purpose. When natural disasters strike, they shatter the illusion of control that many people hold. The suddenness and unpredictability of these events expose the vulnerability of human life and the limitations of human power. In an instant, homes, possessions, and even lives can be swept away, leaving survivors to grapple with a stark new reality. This vulnerability often prompts deep reflection on what truly matters in life. I have personally come to understand how fragile I am. In my teenage years, 20s, and 30s, I believed I was invulnerable. Young age often brings with it a sense of immortality, a belief that we are untouchable, and life's challenges are merely temporary obstacles to overcome with ease. However, as I grow older, I realize more and more how delicate life truly is. Experiences and the passage of time have shown me that health, relationships, and circumstances can change in an instant. The certainty I once felt in my own strength has been replaced by an awareness of my vulnerability. This growing understanding has led me to a deeper reliance on God. And we as human beings need to understand how fragile we are. We are incredibly fragile creatures. This shift in focus from the temporal to the eternal is a natural response to the existential questions that disasters provoke. The uncertainty of life and the certainty of death highlight the importance of preparing for what lies beyond this world. With more than 1,000 tornado reports so far this year, we are reminded of the Earth's tumultuous state and the destructive power of natural disasters. These events prompt us to reflect on the fragility of life and the brokenness of our world. In the midst of this, we too, like the Earth, should long for the time when creation will be restored. Let us look forward to the day when there are no more natural disasters, no more earthquakes that shatter lives, no more tsunamis that engulf coastlines. Imagine a world where tornadoes, hurricanes, and floods no longer bring devastation, a world where the destructive forces of nature are stilled forever. We should fix our eyes on the promise of a new heaven and a new earth. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, "Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and God himself shall be with them, and be their God. and God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. This vision of the future fills us with hope and a deep yearning for the day when God's creation is fully restored. In this renewed world, pain and suffering will be no more. We will experience perfect peace and joy in the presence of our Creator. As we endure the trials of this life, let us hold fast to this promise, looking forward with anticipation to the glorious future God has prepared for us. Through faith in Christ, we can face the uncertainties of today with the assurance of a pain-free, disaster-free tomorrow.